Canadians have named inflation as their top concern.
The inflation genie, many say, is out of the bottle again. Highest rate in 18 years.
That is stretching people's ability to pay their bills.
You'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy.
We need to talk about inflation. There's a cost of living crisis in Canada right now. It's an inflationary crisis, with inflation the highest point in 20 years, almost 5%. There's the Consumer Price Index, there's statistics. But what does this mean to Canadian families? What are people talking about at the kitchen table?
36% of respondents to this poll named inflation as their top concern.
Well, what they're seeing is basically movement on the cost of everything, also focused on the price of gas and essential goods. It's kind of like nothing's going right now.
Look at this. That's $100 for a roast. Gas, houses, all up dramatically over this time last year. I spoke to a senior in rural Alberta last week who is now using food banks because he can't keep up with rising costs for gas, for groceries. Pension income isn't increasing, but the cost of everything is. Before we get to what it means, we need to understand what inflation actually is. The fact is, $5 today doesn't buy the same as $5 years ago. In normal circumstances, you would expect between 1% and 2% inflation year over year. That means what you bought last year is now 1% to 2% more expensive this year. What's scary is that instead of 1% or 2% inflation, it's now almost 5%. That's the highest since 2003. And some experts say it's going to get a lot higher.
The inflation genie, many say, is out of the bottle again for the first time in a long time. The term that economists keep using is this, don't worry folks, this is transitory. Okay. It was transitory a little while back, and it's persistent. And now the bank's even saying it's going to persist longer than we thought. Maybe that's the wrong word. What's a better word to describe what's going on than transitory?
You know, I'll take that on board. I think transitory to economists means sort of not permanent. I think to a lot of people, transitory means it's going to be over quickly. And you know, maybe, I don't know exactly what the right word is, but it's probably something like, you know, transitory but not short-lived.
So why is this happening in Canada? Over the last 2 years, Trudeau has dramatically ramped up spending. Some of the spending was necessary as we fought the pandemic, but the government has spent nearly $1 trillion in deficit spending with little to show for it. They didn't invest in things that stimulate economic activity or jobs. They simply put more money into the system. This happened at the same time when there are far fewer goods in the Canadian marketplace, either because things can't be produced domestically or because of shipping bottlenecks impacting supply chains. The simple result is that because we've increased the money supply at a time there are fewer goods to actually buy, the value of individual dollars is starting to fall. All nations that took action during the pandemic to support their people, what's the difference between them and Canada? All of this means when you go to the grocery store, it's going to cost more, and everything is going to keep costing more. And the price of housing, that deserves a video all on its own. The simple truth is that Justin Trudeau has absolutely no idea how to manage an economy. He's even cheerfully admitting to not paying attention to monetary policy.
I don't know, when I think about the biggest, most important economic policy this government, if re-elected, would move forward, you'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy. You'll understand that I think.
This is the consequence of that recklessness. When you're in the grocery store or in the mall, and you get to the checkout and your dollar doesn't buy nearly what it did a year ago, you can place that blame squarely at the feet of the man who admitted he doesn't care about monetary policy and has done nothing to fix the problem.